the ball enough.
There you go. Let's move over to the other side of the ball.
Okay.
Let's talk a little Devin White, because Devin White has been talked about.
I've heard of this guy.
Brett Favre at the game says Devin White will become a Bucs legend. Another video and another spot shows Christian McCaffery during the game last week in a private conversation with Devin. I guess it was like between plays or something, saying, "Hey, you're the best in the league."
He's
Devin
not.
White.
He's not the best in the league.
Right, but that's what Christian McCaffrey said. But still, just
right
saying,
before he scored a touchdown, as he was.
Was that when he did it?
As Devin White was guarding him.
Is that when he did it?
I don't know. It was on that end of the field.
Because you would know that, Ren. Like, you really would. Like, you would.
It was on that end of the field. It looked a little brighter than, it looked like it was around first quarter instead of fourth quarter. But
before it was dirty.
Yeah, exactly. You got to pick up all those visual cues. But it's nice to hear, obviously, especially after Brett Favre, popped off talking about, BA, and you can't talk to your players that way in the press. And then he shows up at the game, eating Funyuns and
wearing a Tom Brady
Tom. Man, that made me so mad until I found out he was there to do a story. Like, I thought he was just, what do you want to do? Let's go watch, let's go say hi to Tom, and getting a plane and just walking to Ray J. I was like, who the hell is this guy? I mean, I knew he was, but who does he think he is? And then I found out it was for the NFL films and all that other stuff. So it was fine.
Yeah. My initial reaction to that was the same. I mean, this is a guy who probably still has nightmares of Warren Sapp laying his ass out. So at first I was like, what the hell does he want to be here for? Like, what business at all does he have being here? But again, as the story came out and you saw he was there with the film crew and yada, yada, it makes sense. But it was definitely a strange sight at first, dude. It was, I'll say this, he was probably one of the last people I expected to see in that stadium, especially donned in his, head to toe Brady Bucks gear.
Yeah, because what he just said, called out BA for calling out Tom Brady, like, it was almost like seeing like Bill Belichick there, wearing like "I love Tom" like a TB12 shirt. Like, what is going on? But it was fine. But here's what I have to say about Devin White. By the end of the year, he's going to be a household name. I think he will be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year in the NFC. I honestly do. I also think, and I talked about it during, the Instacast, was I didn't like his fourth quarter. Like, I thought I took bad angles and missed some tackles and his coverage wasn't very good. And then lo and behold, BA came out and goes, well, he got tired. And, well, why did he get tired? Well, I could tell because he took bad angles, he missed tackles, and his coverage wasn't that good. So he's better than Quan Alexander. He's a better leader than Quan Alexander. First off, you can understand what he says. So, there's a thumbs up trending up there. But he still is a liability in coverage, not as much as Quan is. Like, Quan can't even get on the field in San Francisco because he can't cover. Devin White is better than that, but he's still sort of feeling out and learning the nuances of, especially in zone. On man-to-man, he's pretty good. But in zone, he doesn't pick up the guys crossing in his zone for me fast enough. And he just seemed to be worried, like, okay, I need X marks the spot. Hike, I'm standing on X. Okay, now what? And it's like, as you're going, like, people are going to come in and out of your zone when you're going to X. Like, you're allowed to trail them and all those type of things. But it sounds very basic, but he's just not doing it. So I like the praise, of course, being a Bucs fan. Shutting up all the people who said you couldn't spend a top 5 pick on an off-ball linebacker. He's looking like one of those guys that, even though there's only 4 teams above him, it might be one of those players where you're like, really, in 10 years, really, he was 5th? Like, oh, I bet those 4 teams really missed out. And he might be that type of player. But right now, it's just a little too early, way too early to say, he's the best in the league at what he does. Because he's not, because the guy next to him is better than he is.
I'm definitely a big fan of Devin White. I'm looking forward to how he can just kind of step it up this season. But we actually gave you a shout on this week's show. I think it was either our game preview or on Monday, but I was talking about how I was watching the Instacast while I was in the live chat arguing with Brent about the fake Undertaker. And you had mentioned...
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
He's like, he's a doctor. And he's like, no, what was he?
I looked it up. It wasn't Kane. But the storyline was that he turned into Kane, but it was a different person. Fair enough.
I rest my case.
Fine. But the storyline was that he turned it. Get out. Go.
It's the small victories, man. Okay, so Devin White. We brought you up because Evan said the same thing. Towards the second half, there were just some plays that Devin White usually makes that he didn't make, and he was a bit of a liability out there. Looking at the game on Sunday, it's another thing that this Broncos offense, they're in a position now where they'll take shots every now and again, but most of those plays are going to finish with him and Levante David having to wrap things up. So if there's any week that he's got to step up and really play 4 full quarters, it's going to be this week, because I think they're going to lean on him heavy towards the end of those plays.
All right.